next week also marks the 20th anniversary of The Lion King, the release of The Lion King. Now, I was already a grown-ass man when that movie came out, so I appreciated it as an animated film, and I didn't watch it again until a couple of months ago. And you know what? That movie really holds up.
Yeah.
It's got the goods, kid. It's a legitimately great film. I think it holds up better than Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast even. And I feel like Beauty and the Beast gets all the credit for being like the prestige one. But I feel like Lion King has been – people still reference that movie and still reference those songs and everything.
Yeah, sure.
Why do you think Lion King is still so beloved 20 years later?
I just think it was – well, first of all, quality. It's really well done. I think top to bottom, from animation, character design, all that stuff, right down to the songs. I mean, the songs are catchy. They're, they're woven into sort of our cultural fabric.
Yeah.
Some of the songs were on the radio, top 40 hits. And you don't, it's weird.
Man,
you don't
I don't
see
think
that in
it's-
movies anymore.
Well, except for Frozen.
Except for Frozen.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's
Absolutely.
like the baton has been passed on to this, 20. My God, if we're still here 20 years from now doing this, we'll be having a thing about, remember when Frozen came out? No, the kids wanted to let it go.
I'm sure everybody will be listening
it'll
to
be,
us.
back then it was Hakuna Matata and the Circle of Life. I mean, it is interesting to see that, I think Lion King, I think the foundation for why that movie remains popular is the same reason for any good movie, which is it was a good story.
Yeah.
And yes, they borrowed from Hamlet and they borrowed from the old Kimba cartoon, all that, but it was ultimately it's a compelling story with interesting characters, and that's why any good movie lasts.
If you're going to borrow from something, borrowing from Shakespeare is not a bad idea because you already have
pretty tried and true.
You have a good dramatic framework there, and I think that movie actually does a lot of things right. It's got that sort of traumatic moment early on,
Yeah.
and it's got this.
It's that generation's Bambi moment.
You've got this character who it's a coming of age story, and it's finding your place in the world story, and it's a story of triumph and all the things. It appeals to anybody at any age.
Yeah.
If you're a kid, it's aspirational. If you're an adult, you may look back at it and be like, oh, youth or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's just so many good elements to it. It's just really well written.
And also, James Earl Jones, it's interesting, like, for our generation, he was always Darth Vader, but there was a whole other generation, he's Mustafa.
Right.
Like they might know he's Darth Vader, but when they hear his voice, maybe what they're hearing is Mustafa,
Yeah, and I really think that Jeremy Irons is, like, huge in that movie. He's so deliciously
Somebody
evil.
the other day asked, it was a joke thing on Twitter, but, like, what was Uncle Scar's name before he got the scar? Like, it was Simon. I don't know.
Oh, that's true. That's it's
I
not
don't
on
know
his
why
birth
my
certificate.
Uncle Scar went bad. He seemed like such a nice guy. I never saw that crap coming.
You wonder sometimes if villains are presupposed to be
like
evil.
Sinestro. Like,
Just
I
based
don't
on their
know.
name. I don't know why he went
in
bad.
my original tongue. It's equivalent of Brian. I don't.
What's your favorite
Lion
Lion King song?
God, it's tough because they're all very. I guess Hakuna Matata, just because it's goofy and fun. But what's the? I just can't wait to be king. Though I think is when I rewatched the movie a few months ago. I think that was the one that stuck with me more.
Yeah, I think this movie actually has a lot of the classic Disney elements. They have the sidekicks who are funny.
Yep.
They have the anthropomorphic, sort of characters.
Talking animals. Yeah.
Talking animals. You got to have it. And then they had these they had the real evil villain, and then they have the kind of goofy evil sidekicks.
Yeah.
So they have all these elements.
They had the formula was. It's a formula, but it was done right.
It's in perfect balance,
Yeah.
It was kind of like honed and honed and honed, and Lion King is the best example of it. And then, for my money, after Lion King, everything fell off for a while. I feel like it was kind of diminishing returns for Disney for a while until, things like Tangled and
well, frankly,
Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen.
Pixar saved their bacon.
Well, Pixar I kind of see as on a separate track, but Disney, I've been actually going back and revisiting some of the Disney movies in between Lion King and
like Emperor's New Groove.
I actually like that, but like Hercules is horrible.
Wait, no, Road to El Dorado is DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Hercules. I tried to watch that on Netflix recently. It's not good.
Lilo and Stitch, not good.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff in the middle there that is just, it's kind of unwatchable.
Well, I'm thank you, Lion King, for being, and one of these days I'll go and actually see the big Broadway musical. It was also the Lion King. I think another reason why it's still so popular 20 years later is it's been able to stay in the mainstream, to stay in that kind of in the culture, thanks to the direct-to-video sequels, and the kids can watch those things over and over again, and to the stage show, the traveling kind of stage production. It keeps it alive, And
Disney does actually a really good job, and it's motivated by money in some respects, but they do a good job of like reintroducing their stuff to a new generation. You know, they'll bring things out in 3D in the theater again. They'll bring things
Lion King 3D was a big
They'll do those special edition Blu-rays and then bring it to a whole new group, and
I would say a whole new world, but that's a completely different Disney.
The cynical part of me is like, oh, they just want to sell more Blu-rays. But I think there's also something else at play with Disney that goes back to the spirit of Walt Disney, which is like, let's share these treasures with the new generation.
Yeah, you got to you really do have to hook them young, and it works.